Is energy a true superpower? Are we really superheroes now? I think it's time to find out. Welcome to The Energy Show. Here we discuss the energy solutions to the problems of the modern age. It's all about emotional well-being. It's all about energy. And our happiness matters. Hello and welcome. I am Sylvia.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Sandra.
And we are energy superheroes, really? Are we really energy superheroes? That's the question we're going to... Is energy knowledge a superpower, a human superpower? That's the question. And you know where that question came from? Last week, we did the future of modern, we're in the future now. That was Energy Show number 9. It was really good. And if you haven't seen it, by all means, check that out. And I had to make a thumbnail for this. And future, what should I put on the thumbnail? And my energy mind suggested superheroes, 2 superheroes with a big E on the chest and a blue outfit and a golden cloak. And I thought, wow, I've never thought of energy as being like a superpower before. And then I got to think about it. And I thought, you know what? In Star Matrix, we have the star powers, don't we?
Yes, I completely agree, Sylvia. We have got this wonderful gift, haven't we, with energy. It allows you to see the world in so much more clarity. It allows you to see like other people's emotions and their experiences of the world, and also how you interact with that world. I think it's like getting a new prescription for your glasses, if anyone can out there relate to that.
Yeah, like X-ray vision. It's actually not so much about seeing things more sharply defined, the same things that everybody else is seeing, but you're just seeing more. It is literally like X-ray vision of being able to not see auras. It's not about seeing auras, but it is about being really aware of what the energy exchanges, these invisible things are in a place, and the thing that I just remember is a star memory of mine from a long time ago. I walked into this house of this very depressed person, and they had a massive print of the Scream painting on the mantelpiece over the fireplace in the front room. And
oh goodness.
Yes, and if you just look at that with the way that people are looking at things, which is just a material object, you just see that material object there. It's just, it's just bits of paint on a piece of paper. Basically, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. It's just random. And I looked at that, and I looked at the woman, and I looked at everything else, including the drooping houseplants on the windowsill, and I was like, whoa, I know exactly what's happening here, and I know exactly what needs to be done to change this. And it's like this is like seeing the world with that extra level of information,
with energy eyes, and energy structure and energy logic, and the understanding that comes from that. So you can, as you say, understand what's going on, and therefore how to evolve that, because you know about energy structure and principles. So I think it is a superpower, and also not just the understanding, but the ability to actually do something about the energy. That's even more of the superpower. Well, maybe they go hand in hand, but that's definitely there's noticing it, there's understanding and seeing what needs to happen, but then being able to do something about that, that's a superpower.
Something that I've learnt over the last few years is that when all this extra information comes to you and you have this new insight into someone or some person or some animal, or when I was younger, I found the need to explain like the new information that I've just got about them. But I found that this actually freaks out a lot of people. And so what I've learned now is just to take in that extra information and then just kind of, okay, I know. Say for example, I know this person is lying to me, or I know that they're lying to me, but it's kind of like a white lie, and that they want me to feel better about something or something like that. Rather than calling them out on it, I just like, okay, extra information, just put that somewhere for future reference. So it is interesting, isn't it? It's not all just about being reactive with the extra information. It just gives you so much more of an insight into the patterns and complexities of the world.
It gives you a world of new choices,
which is power.
Oh yes, yeah. A world of new choices. Like my lady there with the scream poster and the depressed houseplants. I have now so many choices of what I'm going to do. I can just sit there and listen to her whine at me for the next 2 hours over a cup of tea and leave.
I'm sure a lot of therapists would have taken option 1, right?
Yeah, well, that's an option that exists and that most people would be moving without energy awareness, would be moving into. And you can calculate that. And you can calculate also the effects that's going to have on you. What you're going to be like after 2 hours of listening to this lady telling you all the terrible things that have happened to her again in her life and why she's worthless and nobody loves her and all the rest of it. I could do that. But there are so many other choices now, so many different options. I could, because I've seen what's wrong here. She's got herself trapped in a feedback loop. She doesn't want to be depressed and miserable. This is totally untrue that people like, particularly a lot of psychologists, they tend to say that the person doesn't want to get better because they have no methods to help them get better. So they're putting the blame on the client, on the patient, and saying, oh, you're self-destructive, you're trying to sabotage yourself and all this business. But nobody wants to be miserable, God damn it. This is just silly. So, and knowing this, looking at this lady with her poster and her houseplants, and I'm like, okay, you're trapped in a feedback loop. Would you like to break out of it? And she's like, yeah. Please.
Did she mean it, Sylvia?
Yeah.
I haven't. No. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people, they've made entities out of their issues. They've made entities out of their problems, like, oh, my pain, and they love telling people about all the horrible things that has happened. Are you sure this person actually really wanted to break the cycle?
Yes, and I could tell by the way when I said it. When I said this, I think you're trapped in a feedback loop. Would you like to break out of it? Yes. I hadn't finished the sentence before the yes was out. She didn't think about it. It just burst out of her. And I said, look, and the very first thing we want to do is we want to take that screen poster off your wall. And she said, but it expresses so perfectly how I feel. I said, yes, it might do, but it's sitting there screaming 24/7. It screams at you every time you walk into the room, and all your friends, and your pot plants are dying. Look at it. Take it off the wall. I mean, so she did, and things get significantly better, I have to admit, significantly better, just for that one little thing that was done there.
It makes me think, the positive affirmation MBS community from like 80s and 90s. Like, fair enough, they were lacking any kind of energy awareness in what they're saying. Standing in front of the mirror, you are a tiger. But can you imagine if they were just like, if it was like went the other way, like with the scream painting, standing in front of the mirror, you are Munch's scream.
Yeah, Home Alone face, right?
Every morning. Like, I mean, at least the positive affirmation crowd were going in the right direction, eh?
Yes, they were. So we've established some things like being able to see so much more in the environment. To recognize, to realize is a better word than seeing it, because you're not seeing anything else through your eyes of day than everybody else is seeing. It's a different way of interpreting the information that's there. We're seeing what's really there, which is really nice. And it makes me think that being energy aware is a bit of a wake-up call.
Do you ladies know about the theory of mind from psychology? No? So this is the idea that we have as human beings, it's maybe some primates do this as well, but we can, when we're talking to another human being or seeing another human being, we can imagine how it feels to be that person. And indeed, we have these neurons, mirror neurons firing. Like, for example, if you're watching some sports, then actually the person doing the sports and the person observing the sports has the same neurons firing as they're doing it. And this idea that we by knowing what other people can see and experience, it gives us a much more social animal behaviors to work with the group. And conversely as well, actually, we also use that as well for knowing what other people don't know, which is quite interesting. There's this famous experiment where they put two cages with a dominant gorilla on one side and a subordinate gorilla on the other side. So if the subordinate gorilla knows that the dominant can't see the banana, then he'll go in, sit on the banana and go, oh, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. But if he is aware that the dominant can see the banana, then he basically stands off, sees if the dominant takes the banana, rejects the banana. But yeah, so it's this concept of what other people know it influences your behavior. Also, it's going into deceit and our abilities there as well. It's just a fascinating topic, actually. And same with energy, isn't it? Like, actually, to know something about it, what are you going to do with that information?
That takes me back to having all these different choices in a situation. You're not stuck with what everybody else is doing or what is expected that should be done, and in this is, to me, particularly important. Is I keep going into situations and people tell me that nothing can be done because everything has been tried. If I got $1 for every time somebody said to me in some context, I've tried everything and nothing has worked. I've tried everything. And I keep thinking, yeah, you tried everything you know.
Yes.
Well, you haven't tried everything.
And did they try everything under stressful conditions, eh?
Yeah.
Like, a person under stress won't have that same plethora of opportunities and options that their brain and energy mind supplies them as someone that's in higher energy states, right? I've known that I've battled computer problems all the way into the early hours of the morning, finally fallen asleep, woke up the next morning, and the solution was so glaringly obvious.
Yes.
I'm sure.
I've tried everything.
They say that thought about sleeping on something, it says there's definite truth in that, giving yourself a new perspective. That's why we work as a species together, isn't it? Because we can actually collaborate so well, in theory.
But the whole stress thing, understanding that's a piece of information that everybody is missing. That the stress chart, that people change so profoundly when their energy goes up or down, or when we go from happiness to depression to stress. The grammar changes, This influences now all of linguistics, because they've never actually said, okay, people under stress, like a drunk person, just uses different grammar, different words, different structure. It's a totally different language. I had this wonderful experience because I was brought up in a pub. I was in Brighton at a party, and there was some things going on, and there were two really young policemen trying to get this really large Scottish bloke who was super drunk into the police car. And they weren't communicating. So I saw this was happening and stepped in and started talking to the drunk Scottish guy, and literally translated between the drunk Scottish guy and these young English police officers. And I just got him in the car, and he said, I know I've been fucking up, I know I'm a bad boy. And I'm like, yeah, you're a bad boy. And now you got to get in the car. And he said, yeah, I'm getting in the car. And he was going into the car and happy, and everybody waving and smiling, and they all drove off. And that made me absolutely realize that one of the things you should teach young policemen is how to talk drunk. The language, the way that works, it's different. And so the way that stressed people's language works is different. And you can tell people's states by how capable they are in their communications. You can tell their energy average. You know so much more about people. And that's also then a part of what I would consider the superpower. There is one thing that springs to mind here. Now, traditionally, when a superhero, who isn't a superhero yet, is just a person, and they discover they have a superpower, right? What's the first thing they need to learn to do? What's the first thing they always do in all the superhero movies?
Fail.
Yeah, they need to experiment.
They fail.
They need to learn about...
They try to make spider web coming out their hand, but accidentally, I don't know, glue their fridge together or something like that, They
practice it, yeah.
They need to learn this power. They need to understand what it is. They need to try it out somewhere. Go to a wasteland somewhere where you're not accidentally going to laser somebody with your eyes, in order to learn to control this superpower. And I think that's very much a part of being energy aware, and all of a sudden just knowing so much more about people, about their systems, about where everything's gone wrong. You can't just storm in there and start ripping people's screen posters off their walls. It's
I had an interesting story. I had an interesting energy experience yesterday, Sylvia. So I was talking to someone I don't know very well, and as you do, it's like Alex, other person, and I realized that they really had a problem being face on. In fact, so they were kind of like face away kind of thing. And I noticed that over about 10 minutes, we started pirouetting very, very slowly.
Very cool.
And so,
very cool. Client practitioner dance.
And it was so interesting. So what I thought was, because like normally I'd consider it to be offensive behavior, like having your back to someone that you're talking to. like for like normal social cues, that would be quite an offensive thing to do. So what I did was I just pivot myself a little bit further away. So I was looking not at him. I was kind of like looking in a different direction, but talking to him kind of thing. And that was really, really fascinating. All of a sudden, like he just responded like so much better. It was really, when we'd stop pirouetting around the room at slow speeds, and actually, honestly, like he completely opened up, and I got so much useful information, and it was wonderful. But again, just because normal social behavior says that actually eye contact and smiles equals good conversation.
Right.
Not always the case, actually.
No.
I have no idea. I've never met someone that does that before, but it was certainly a new experience for me. And
awareness.
And opened my It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like when you actually have that ability, that knowing you've got a superpower. Like, is it so that it's that question, isn't it? You know, do we how can we pursue our goals? How can we find out more information? How can we what are our goals? Is it to help this person? Is it to help ourselves? Is it to help everybody in the entire world? I mean, it's a fascinating one, isn't it? And you know, with great power comes great, what was it?
Responsibility.
I was refusing the forced mind read there. Oh, those little games we play. So, yeah, then there is this whole thing of, and I'm pretty sure Sandra has a story or two about our power to actually reach out and touch other people and make a change with them.
A story or two or many, yeah. I mean, I feel it's a real gift when you are in front of somebody, whichever the context, whether it's online, face to face, in a chat, and they're telling you about their situation or problem or challenge, and you have the ability, you know what needs to happen and how to do it, and you have the ability to help. It is such a gift and a blessing to be the person who knows that and is able to respond and guide that person, and guide the person in a respectful, honoring way, you know, like that force the healing and help on them, but just to invite
You shall heal.
I know I had that problem at the beginning with my superpower, wanting to practice it on others too much before actually inviting them to actually engage in the process. And irrespective of what they said, yes or no, you know, like, no, you will heal. But I've taken that feedback in. I've managed myself to be able to deal with that now. But
Sandra, I call that the Jedi pattern. The young Jedi gets their lightsaber, right? And they're going to go nuts with it. Everybody does, and they should. It's the right thing to do. You know, it's a part of your learning process that when you have this superpower, that you sometimes apply it in places where you probably shouldn't, and you learn from that.
Yes.
And I actually, this was so bad at one point when we were doing the energy healing back in the day. I posted a meme which said that how are you ever going to be a Jedi if you don't practice with your lightsaber?
Yeah.
You know, it's a part of the thing, and nothing to feel bad about, even though we sometimes do. And I'm not doing that now anymore either, these things that we try to do. But it is a superpower, and it does come with responsibility. And it does, there are so many aspects of this. And one of the ones that I really wanted to highlight for our viewers who might not be experienced energists yet, but hopefully, please God, will be at one point, is that the most profound thing is losing the fear of emotions.
Yes.
Losing the fear and terror of your own emotions, but also of other people's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's only energy.
Yeah.
This is only energy.
That's such a powerful point, because so many people, you see their reactions, even like with kindness, or you know, you say something and they kind of feel it, get emotional and shut down. They haven't learned yet how to manage that energy. They don't know yet that it's possible to do
that. It's possible to manage that energy.
They don't even know it's possible.
No.
And they don't know that can be channeled into a beautiful, graceful love. And because of the lack of knowledge, they keep shut down and have the fear of feeling uncomfortable. And that is, you meet that so often. And yet, if they just knew, it's very logical about energy, that they can just, well, it is just having understanding, not having an awareness of what's happening, energy coming in and into the heart, and they're feeling it and they shut down. if they could just allow that energy and breathe and let it flow, then they're in the flow of life, and that feels good. Yeah.
There's so much about this. Like so much about this. Like I had a client once who would get absolutely petrified and terrified of people who were emotional. If that, whether they were crying or whether they angry raised voices, he'd absolutely freak out, because childhood trauma, when the voices got loud, he got beaten as a child, all of that. It's all fair and well, but this is really disabling to a person when they're getting that petrified that it's like a emotionophobia, fear of emotions. A lot of the tech bros have that. They try to pretend they don't have any emotions at all, and they're like Mr. Spock. And it's no, people, that's not a good thing. That is actually a, it's a handicap. It's a handicap. Well, you're missing out on your superpower.
Exactly. Even socially, there's a belief that it's bad to be emotional. It's like their understanding of emotions is only the stress emotions.
Yes.
They don't have, well, what about happiness? What about love? What about courage? What about passion? They don't have that in. If they kind of had that in, then they go, well, yeah, that would be good to feel some of those emotions. Yeah.
So I would have to say,
what Sandra was saying. Okay, you hang on, go on.
I mean, I would have to say that for the last 20 years or so, it's become more and more fashionable to throw yourself around like an absolute lunatic on social media and in social discourse, and to literally like a 2-year-old. And the more you scream and shout, the more advantages you are given, and the more clout you have in social media, and it's actually been really rewarded to be completely out of control with your emotions.
And I've heard that some people, I haven't seen any statistics on this, but I heard that some trolls on the internet are actually quite nice people when you meet them in real life. It's hard to believe, isn't it, when they spend like 18 hours a day just writing negative comments,
writing abuse,
and things.
Yes.
But what I was thinking about was what Sandra was saying about how a client often needs to get a client to be a good client rather than a bad client. You need to help them get to a point where they're more comfortable accepting that incoming positive energy from the teacher, from the therapist. So if a client or a student is like, then the information or the help just wouldn't go in. And so last week I was helping a friend who had a housing issue, and so we went to this charity who offers support and advice. And when he walked out there, he said, "Bloody do-gooders!" And at that point, I was like, do-gooders are a bad thing? But of course, like from that point of not being able to accept help or understand that people actually want to help him, clearly that's something as well. Like through EMO, we can just give some little tools about shields, take those shields, pinprick, let a little bit in, soften and flow, get that goody, that do-gooder energy, flowing nicely, until you're willing to embrace all these wonderful people out there that just want to help you. God damn it. Yeah, I found that an interesting side effect, isn't it? Like, to be a good teacher is the same. We have to be energy aware of what our students can, where they are. We need to raise their energy sometimes first before we can actually deliver a message.
But just imagine students are like 18 years plus. They're grown human beings, and they should be having their responsibility to make sure that when the teacher is standing in front of them and they're saying things to them, that they're doing their bit from soften and flow, put down the shields, let the information come in, just because you had a bad kindergarten teacher who looked just like that guy, doesn't mean that, just put down the shields, let that information flow in, through and out. It's not just words. It's not just diagrams and facts and figures and words on a page. It is actually energy that you need to take in order to remember these things that that person is telling you. And the fact that our students, our children, don't know how to do that and activate that human superpower of actually directly learning from that person that they're supposed to be learning from, that's a tragedy. You know, it's not like we are these special people that fell into a nuclear reactor soup kind of thing. And we came out and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, look at that. Oceans of energy. I can have choices. I can control my emotions. I can do all these things. Wow. It's not like that, is it? It's a thing that we had to learn to do a piece at a time, and we're still learning.
Yeah. Something about artificial intelligence I quite like, Sylvia and Sandra, is that so if I wanted to understand a topic and I really wasn't getting it, you know, like say for example, what is artificial intelligence, and the computer would be like, you know, thousands of computers processing using fast GPUs, using machine learning techniques with general pre-trained models, blah 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 blah. At which point, like, you know, I was starting to go like glazed eyes, not wanting to learn about this anymore. And I was like, okay, ask the AI again. Thank you for that AI, but now explain it like you would to a 5-year-old. And it was like, artificial intelligence is say for example, ChatGPT. It's very good at guessing what word comes after the other word. You take one word, what word is likely to come next? Okay, good. I got that. Which is fascinating, isn't it? Like, so maybe actually with training someone, like, you know, as well as like improving their energy and getting them to a base level where their brains actually says, yes, I understood that. Because once they're in the yes, I can understand that, kind of the information channels open up and you can put more information in a little bit more detail. But it's that finding that common ground, I think, with your students and your clients, isn't it?
I have been accused of making diagrams, like for example, the modern energy chart, that are too childish and not professional enough to be taken seriously. Ah, man. And the reason I'm making them like that is because I'm literally going back to kindergarten. We should have been taught these things when we were 3 years old, but we weren't. So when I'm making these diagrams, I'm literally addressing information processing systems from way back when. And so, yeah, they also translate really well into all languages. People understand them. And I don't think that explaining something like you would explain it to a 5-year-old is actually something that should be snouted down at.
You once said, Sylvia, that your diagrams can be explained with a stick in the sand if needed be. And I love that.
That was the idea, that a person can draw them in the sand with stick figures.
That also is a superpower, to be able to explain something complex in simple language, that you understand it enough that you can discern the simple essence and communicate that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the language superpower is certainly a thing, because as you're getting more energy high and you're connecting more with your own totality and your energy mind comes online and you're starting to speak freely what it's giving you without I shouldn't say that. You're starting to actually speak in a flow. You know, the communication skills just go through the roof, really. And it doesn't matter who you're talking to, a 3-year-old or psychology professor or an AI PhD. Doesn't matter, does it? And so that is communication part is, I think, also one of the parts of the energy superpower that I wish more people had.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful experiences I've had sort of some time ago was there was a combination of life situations and circumstances that kind of came to a real head and the amount of stress that I was under, the amount of things that were difficult that I had to handle, literally broke me. That's how I felt like I was. And however, I understood the process. I understood what was happening to me, and I understood what was necessary and what was possible to heal and recover myself. And so I sat down and did that. And then, at the end of that self-healing session, energy healing session, I was completely restored and back able to function again. And from being broken, more broken than I'd never used those words to describe myself before. So that was a phenomenal for me to be able to bring myself from that place back to fully restored and functioning, and able to then pass that on as a gift to others as well. That's a super.
You can't help other people until you've helped yourself.
Well, I don't know about that, but I completely concur with that. I completely concur.
I disagree, Sylvia. Surely you need to, when you're in the -7 state, then you're in no position to help anyone else.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't even try to
raise energy.
Let's not have an argument here. I was going to go with Sandra's thing and say that one of the beautiful things, and I'm really proud of this in modern energy, is you get to be a human being. You get to have your -7s, and you get to have your -8s and 9s. You get to have your dark nights of the soul. You get to be depressed and angry and everything else. You do not have to float around like some floaty thing all day long and all the time. You can go up and down as much as you like. But the beauty of it is that even as you're having this meltdown, there is this little part of you that already knows that, I'm having a meltdown. This is bad. Okay, but it is only energy, and I'll get out of it. I'll get over it. It'll be okay. And that is incredible.
That's amazing.
That is incredible.
Amazing gift and power for ourselves to have that knowledge and the know-how, so we can enact it upon ourselves. Because life for most of us is not easy. It is a struggle, and you have to constantly look after your energy yourself to be in a functioning state, to function well in your life with all the challenges that people have. So it really is a superpower to know about energy and to have the understanding of energy principles and what to do for yourself. Never mind somebody else. Just to learn it for yourself is like a great superpower. But it's also a blessing when you help others. Just and that is to be to have that power, and then be using it when you have the opportunity. Like I just resurrected a story recently, which I kind of run through the AI engine, but that's another story. And one of my students remembered that story because it's actually a 10 years old client story where somebody contacted me by email about in the middle of the night, because they're in Canada and it was morning for me, with anxiety issues. And I said, we'll just get on Skype and we'll have a chat. And I was able in a chat to bring him through and over and heal his anxiety, which he'd said nothing had helped before. And just having a text chat, like on Skype, like how amazing.
Superpower.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that? To have the power to do that any place, anytime. Like some of my favorite healing stories, not necessarily, obviously every time I help a client in a session, that's wonderful. But when it's like out and about, like I'm walking, I'm coming back on the train from, meeting family, coming back home, and somebody's on WhatsApp having a panic attack. And, you know, I get them into a star moment and get them out of it, rescue their energy by taking them back to a star moment and re-empowering them on WhatsApp while I'm on the train and on the boat and going home. It's like, how amazing is that?
Yeah.
To be able to do that, any place, anytime.
I was super impressed with Alex on a train in England, in London, actually intervening in a thing that a couple of ladies had. They were sitting there, they were having some kind of freak out, and he's sitting there watching this, and he actually literally, like we're talking about, boom, let me help you out, ladies, and sort you out. There is so much in that. There is the obviously seeing it. Number two, realizing that it's in his superpower to do something about it. Then making the decision to actually go ahead and do that, and being brave enough to do that, because this is not the English spirit to be doing that.
Yeah.
And then having a really good success with it. And that's all in a day's train ride, right? This is a superpower.
Yeah.
All the way.
It was interesting. It was fascinating, actually, because so there was this mum and this daughter having this conversation about therapy, and the daughter was much more saying that she didn't find talking about her problems useful, and that she felt that if someone wasn't very good at communicating their internal life, basically, they might find therapy useful as a way of opening up. And the mum was like, I really don't want to be having this conversation right now. And the daughter kept going on saying about how about actually when we feel emotions, we can actually feel them, and we can it'd be like, you know, there might be a train going through my chest, at which point I was like, oh God, no. I was like, I've got to do something, you know, let's just stay with the classic EMO. Let's just make it like water. Water can be like solid, like ice, and then we can put our healing hands there and melt it.
This is on a public train.
Yeah,
in England.
Yeah, absolutely packed commuter. It was the last train, and there was a lot of people on there. It was standing room only, and I said, I said hi, by the way, to the younger lady, and I said hi. You know, just been overhearing, obviously, because like, you know, you're like 50 centimeters away, and you know, and she's like, you know, like didn't want to talk at all. But within about 10 seconds of me mentioning about what she was saying about feeling things, I just said, you know, don't put an entity on it like that. You know, it's okay. Some of them are okay, but you know, if you start to, some people might say it's a demon in my chest, or
the metaphor police. Yeah. Oh, I love you. The metaphor superhero. You're going to get a special superhero costume with a big M on it, and that stands for metaphor. So, well done. Well done.
I remember one train story, actually. It just reminded me. I hadn't thought about this for years, but I was on a train coming back from London and to Portsmouth. It was like the train had almost emptied by the time we got down near Portsmouth Harbour. So anyway, this person in my set of seats was having some problems in our chat, and I did some emo with them and helped them release it, and then they got off later happier and got off the train. But then later, this guy who was sat behind me obviously was listening to all about this. As he got up and to get off the train, and he passed me, and he stopped by me, and he just reached out his hand to like shake my hand, and which I put my hand back, and he just said thank you, and he kissed my hand and went off the train, just because he'd witnessed this healing that took place.
He'd witnessed the healing. Hallelujah.
This is so fantastic, isn't it?
And then there was another one. I had a beautiful emo session in the Veterans Cafe. You might remember the story about this a few years ago. And I was there, and there was some veterans reunion going on in Gosport, and I was having a coffee in the cafe, and there's this guy who was drunk, and he'd come for the reunion, and everybody was shooing him away because he was drunk. And he came to sat at my table, And I said hi, and as I said, is there anything that I can do to help? And he was sort of said, well, who are you? Are you a doctor or something like that? What are you doing here? Because I was obviously didn't look like a veteran. And I said, no, but how are you doing? He says, oh, I feel terrible. So I asked him where he was feeling his terrible feelings, which was in his head. And so I said, if you don't mind, would you like me to try to help to release some of that pain? So first, we didn't talk about anything subject-wise. I just helped him soften and flow to release his headache, which he was astonished about. And still, he was able to focus even enough, still under the influence. And then he opened up and said, well, he was a sniper, and he kind of couldn't come to terms with what he'd done when he was in the army, and he hated himself and all of this. And when he started to connect with these feelings and getting emotional, I asked him again, where did he feel it all? In his heart, in his throat, in his head. And I helped him release all of that. And he, like, we were sat across the table, and I took his hands, and we were just sat doing this beautiful release of all this energy, this pain that he had. And I saw him, he wept with the release of the energy. And he says, I've never cried. I've never been able to cry in my life, and it was just the most beautiful release. And he just said, what has just happened here? Are you like an angel or something? Just like being there in the right place at the right time, and having the know-how and the ability, the superpower
of energy,
to be able to help. It's such a gift,
to not be afraid.
Yeah.
Not be afraid of him, not be afraid of his emotions, not be afraid of the horrible things that he suffered, to not be afraid of what's going to happen next, to have that confidence, that certainty that you can help, because you feel that, you can feel that you're going to not be in danger here if you are speaking right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's that there is so much to this. We don't just go blindly bumping into all sorts of dangerous people. We don't.
Yeah.
We get a good sense of this, of where we are with that, and the sense whether we can help or not as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we're coming back to making these decisions of what you're going to do and what you're not going to do and how you're going to do it, which is, to me, the essence of power. Not having a ton of money, not having a ton of guns, or anything like that, or a ton of blackmail on all sorts of powerful people. It's the power is in being able to seeing multiple pathways and being able to choose one.
Yeah.
That's what I personally consider to be power. So energy is definitely superheroes. And we can invite everyone in the world to become a superhero too. All you have to do is download Revolution and read it if you can. And if not, have somebody else download it and read it for you. It's simple. It's easy. Start with the heart position. I've got tons of videos on this channel with simple exercises you can do to feel better and learn them. You don't have to give us any money at all. We're happy to share this with the world. And we would be so happy if you were to share the message or the video or the fact that we really do have six senses and emotions are important and a real living energy body and all these awesome things that allow us to become, to discover the superpower. 16.7% additional information. And that's just the beginning.
Yeah. I find it's a fascinating topic, and I'm so interested in hearing what everyone watching has to say on this. Specifically, when was the last time you were brave enough to interrupt some people on a train, or when you knew someone needed some help? leave your star memories of making a real difference. Your Florence Nightingale star memories. Do leave a comment because it'd be fascinating.
Yeah, and try a sequence of modern energy tapping for I am an energy superhero. It's just
that feels a good thing to tap on. Yeah, to feel
I'm
that
an energy superhero, and
the
I accept my
realization.
power.
I accept my power. Yeah. This
Yeah.
really is a power, energy, knowledge, and ability is a superpower.
In this current place, it is a superpower, and I'm
Energy.
hoping for a world where we all are going to be much more empowered to be energy superheroes. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Lots and lots of blessings. I hope you enjoy your golden cape as you're flying with your energy superpowers. And that's farewell from me.
Angel
And
rings.
please tune back in for next week's wonderful episode of The Energy Show.
Yes, thank you so much, and bye for now.
Bye for now.